Your association paid $3,000 or $4,000 for a reserve study, and there's a good chance it's sitting in the file right now, technically complete, practically useless, while your infrastructure ages and your reserves fall further behind. Here's why that happens and what it's actually costing you. A reserve study is a cash flow analysis built on a physical inspection of your community's infrastructure. Engineers evaluate the components: roofs, paving, mechanical systems, structural elements, estimate their remaining useful life and replacement cost, and project what the association will need to fund over time to stay fully prepared. Here's what most boards don't understand. The quality of that analysis depends significantly on what the engineers know when they arrive on site. There's typically an initial meeting between the reserve study firm and the association before the on-site inspection begins. That meeting is your one opportunity to tell them what they need to look at. The roof that's been leaking in the same spot the last 3 years. The retaining wall that's been shifting. The building envelope failure that's been letting pests in. If you don't fill the engineer's mind with your community's specific concerns before they start, you get a report built on a template and general assumptions, not on what's actually happening at your property. The most common response to a reserve study is to review the funding recommendations, find them inconvenient, and look for ways to reduce the required contributions. Boards do this because the cash flow projections tend to reflect a funding level that would require assessment increases that residents won't welcome. So the board's political instinct is to find a lower number. But the reserve study firm isn't telling you what you should spend. They're telling you what your infrastructure is going to cost based on engineering analysis. The money doesn't go away just because the board prefers a lower number. It accumulates as a deferred liability. And that liability eventually arrives as a special assessment, often at a moment when the community is least prepared, most divided, and the damage is most expensive. The boards that use the reserve study to drive realistic annual contributions, even uncomfortable ones, are the ones that avoid this outcome. Here's a step that virtually every board skips: sharing the reserve study with residents and explaining what it means. Boards often treat this document as internal governance information. It isn't. It's a financial roadmap for the community's infrastructure, and the residents who own those units have a direct stake in what it says. When residents understand what the reserve study shows, what's coming in 5 years, what's coming in 10, what assessment levels are necessary to get there, they're better positioned to support responsible governance decisions. And when they don't understand it, they push back against every dues increase without context, and boards capitulate to avoid conflict. That capitulation is how infrastructure crumbles. Professional management can help translate the reserve study into a communication that builds resident understanding and makes responsible funding politically viable. A reserve study isn't a compliance document. It's the financial foundation your board's entire long-term planning should be built on. If yours is sitting in a drawer, or if your annual contributions have been set by political convenience rather than the study's recommendations, there's a gap between where your association is and where it needs to be. And that gap has a cost, and it grows every year you wait. At ManageMax, we know that effective community management is built on transparency and systematic excellence. We provide full-service HOA and condominium management across Southeast Michigan, handling everything from accurate financial reporting to proactive maintenance. Our goal is to reduce the burden on your board while protecting your property values. If you're looking for a partner who values accountability as much as you do, visit us at managemaxproperties.com. Let's build a stronger community together.